Hey, my name is James Shepard, and today I want to talk to you about a really interesting news story and kind of give my take on the ideal system for payment processing as we move forward with all of these new things coming up. So recently, Wall Street Journal came out with a report about Target, Amazon, Home Depot, and many other large retailers that want the ability to reject certain types of cards, rewards cards. Now, this is a really interesting thing. So one of the rulings that still exists, one of Visa, MasterCard's rules that still exists, is this rule that, you have to take all their cards. So if you're going to accept Visa, you have to accept all Visa cards. If you're going to accept MasterCard, you have to accept all MasterCards. And this is just one of their core rules that has not been overturned. And, of course, recently this big settlement came out, the $6.2 billion settlement. And so this is a really big deal right now. And, they want to be able to reject these certain cards. And there's a couple things about all this that really strike me as very, very interesting. So the first thing that strikes me as interesting is the fact that this is part of the conversation. It's amazing to me that these large retailers are willing to inconvenience their customers to the point of, we're going to reject your card. You get up to the counter, you go to use your rewards card, and, we don't accept that card type. That's a really negative consumer experience, in my opinion. Just like, I felt the same way about Kroger when I put that video out about them where they were going to not accept Visa. That's really annoying as a consumer when you go in. Now, again, it was only a few of their stores in California, probably, as I mentioned in that video, more of a negotiating tactic to get their interchange rates lowered. But still, it's just interesting the direction that the larger retailers are going. I don't think that direction is going to last. That's not what's really going to happen. To me, it's significantly less inconvenient to find out that you added a service fee onto the card, onto the purchase, than it is to go to these stores and not be able to use your card at all. However, I don't see the big named retailers going with 4% service fees and things of that nature. So I want to talk today just a little bit about my ideal system, and I want to get your opinion about it. Make some comments in the below the video and let me know what you think. But here's what I think should happen. I think that one of the changes that should be made as part of this other lawsuit, in case you don't realize, so there's two lawsuits right now against Visa and MasterCard. They've got split into two lawsuits. There was one big one, and what happened was they realized it was never going to get settled, so they put the financial part of it off and said, we're going to settle the financial damages from Visa and MasterCard, and then separate from that, we're going to settle the lawsuit that the retailers made, which was the reason they need to pay the settlement is that they were colluding together anti-competitive practices, fixing interchange fees, all of that. So I think part of that other one that should be talked about is, I think that when the networks send the authorization code back, the approval code back to the terminal, the point of sale, I think that with that, they should have to include the interchange amount, at least the base interchange that can be calculated, instantly. And so when they send that back, it should recognize the card type and then say, okay, this is a Visa rewards card or whatever, and it should send back, your authorization code is this code, and the interchange rate is, 1.7% and 15 cents or whatever, right? This is the interchange rate. And it should have to send that back with the approval code. Now, why should that be required? Because I think that merchants should have the ability to pass that through to the consumer. So if you ask me where all of this should go with credit card processing and everything, we have cash discounting, we have surcharging, we have big retailers like just basically not accepting cards or not wanting to, and crazy things happening in our industry right now. And I really think the answer to solve all of those problems is there should be a system of transparency where Visa and MasterCard, they have to send through what is the interchange rate on this card. Then they can allow the merchant to do whatever they want with that information, right? This is a free market. We should be able to do whatever we want with that data. If, maybe there's a point of sale system that comes out that says we're only going to pass that cost due to the consumer. The rest, the merchant's going to pay, I think merchants should have to pay something for processing. They're getting, larger ticket sizes. They're getting a lot of value for it. And so I think that they should have to pay something for processing. I don't think they should have to pay the interchange rates. I think they should have the ability to choose if they want to accept the interchange rate or do they want to pass it to the consumer. It also makes a lot of sense for the consumer because then on their receipt, they would actually see, the actual interchange cost. And that could even be the name on the receipt, interchange cost, because that's what it is. And then if they have a problem with it, hey, what's this? Well, that is the exact interchange cost. That is exactly what I pay to the penny to accept your card. That's a transparent system that I think everybody in the industry could get on board with. The ones who wouldn't get on board with it are those that are making a huge amount of money off cash discounting, where this could be problematic. But, let's face it, over time, those margins are going to go down on cash discounting just like they go down on everything else. And so I think, if we started working on a system like that now, to me, that's the transparency that we need. So a couple things to take away from this short little video podcast here today is, number one, these big retailers are looking to not accept rewards cards. And every time a story like this comes out, if you're out selling cash discounting or, you're out there in the field, make sure you're printing these stories out and bringing them with you. These are great conversation pieces. This is how, you want to know how I made so many sales when I was out selling merchant services? Stuff like this. I have alerts on my phone for news stories that come out about interchange fees and banks and payment processing. And when a good story like this comes out, I print it out. I make 50 copies, and I go to all the merchants that didn't buy from me in the last month or two, and I'm like, hey, I have a story I just printed out. I wanted to drop it off. I thought it was so interesting. Have you seen this? How that some of the big retailers are saying they don't want to accept rewards cards anymore because they're so expensive. What do you think about that? That's a conversation starter, Then you can go into, what do you think about cash discounting? Is it time to let's just pass, instead of not accepting the card, isn't it, that seems like really inconvenient. Wouldn't it be better to just put the cost onto the consumer and do cash discounting? These are conversation starters. So be aware that that's going on. And then also give me your feedback. I'm really curious what you think about a system to where, what could we do with that data? You may have different opinions about what to do with it, but what do you think about getting that data at the point of sale, where when you get the authorization code, you also get the interchange rate? Do you think that's a good idea? Would that add some transparency to the system that could be used in many different ways to add transparency all the way to the consumer? So just my general musings today about the payments industry and the evolution and how things are changing. Love to get your thoughts. Make some comments below the video, or if you're on SoundCloud or whatever, you can make a comment there or shoot me an email, james@ccsalespro.com. My name is James Shepard. Have an awesome day.